Hi, it's Professor Ryan from Knights Around a Table, and this is Board Games 101.
Board Games 101!
Before we launch into multiple discussions about board game mechanics, I just wanted to cover briefly what a board game mechanic even is, with the caveat that I'm from the video game industry, and in the video game industry we call them mechanics, but some people in the board games industry call them board game mechanisms, and you'll see both terms bandying about. Because I'm from video games, I'll call them mechanics. Game mechanics in general are the kinds of things that you are doing in a game. And you can kind of think of them like genres in movies, except you look at maybe a board game shelf and you think, well, it's easy to pick out the genres. You know, there are some fantasy games and there are some sci-fi games, there are some pirate games. But what's important about games, and this is true of video games and board games, is that the mechanics and the theme are two completely different things. You can have two pirate games that are technically in the same genre if we classify them like movies, but they would play completely differently. And you can't say that because you like one pirate game, you like another pirate game. The mechanic is the better way to classify the game. So if we take the classic playground game tag, you could call that pirate tag. You could create a rule where every single time you tap somebody, it touches somebody, they have to say, "Yarr!" Now tag is a pirate game. You can see that that's kind of like a tacked on theme. It doesn't really have a lot of bearing on the gameplay, but what's important is the way that tag is played. That is the game mechanic. You have one person who is it, the it chases all the other people around, and as soon as one person is touched by it, that person becomes it, and then the cycle carries on. It has to tag more people. In the vast majority of board games, theme is completely interchangeable, and that's why it becomes more instructive to classify games by their mechanics. So if you find out that you like the worker placement game mechanic, which we'll look at in another video, chances are if there's a pirate worker placement game and a World War II worker placement game, you might not like the World War II theme so much, but you might enjoy the game because it has that worker placement mechanic. And as game development is an ever-evolving art form, more and more games combine mechanics from different games that you've seen or improve upon each other. So you're going to see a big mixture of all different mechanics in a bunch of different titles. So how do you find out which board games have which mechanics? Well, you can play them, you can talk to people, or you can use sites like Board Game Geek, which I'm talking about in a completely separate video that you're going to want to check out. Board Game Geek tries to classify different board games according to a number of mechanics they've identified. Now, I've noticed that those mechanics aren't a complete list, and since board game development is kind of like a bleeding edge sort of thing, not all the new stuff is going to be codified on the website. But it's a pretty good start. If you'd like to learn more about board game mechanics, what they're called, how they function, what they do, what they feel like to play, check out the rest of the videos in this sub-series on board game mechanics. Tell me what your favorite board game mechanic is in the comments below, and I'll make sure that I cover it in this series. Thanks for watching. Knights Around a Table is the only place where you can earn your PhD in board games.
Knights Around a Table is not an accredited educational institution.
Duh. To see a full course syllabus, go to knightsaroundatable.com. To fund an endowment, visit me at my Patreon page. And as usual, click the subscribe button and the bell to get notifications when new course materials are available. Visit me in my office for extra credit.